We're going to pay attention to the comments.
We are live.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. Yeah, to Unveiling the Truth, episode 12. 12 episodes, Robin. I mean, we're just one after another.
I know. 12 is a good number.
12 is a good number. And our guest today, number 12, is even better of a number to have for that episode. Robin and I have been wanting to talk to experiencers on the show for a while now, who can, not just any experiencer, but experiencers who can dialogue their contact with detail that's really going to truly show and give the perspective of what close encounters really are. Because we hear about it all the time. Oh, I saw a biologic, I was abducted, but you don't really get the vivid detail that follows that. And our guest today is that individual who falls into that unique demographic. He never considered himself a UFO guy, but Jeff Selver, who's our guest today, is a researcher, a lifelong explorer of consciousness and contact, and experiencer, and is also an author of, if y'all can see that, The Rising, the Alien Plan to Build an Enlightened City on Planet Earth. He's a performing musician, and after that, he took a turn into academia and got his coveted master's in business admin, the coveted MBA that is so prestigious after everybody's name. And it was interesting. He wrote his thesis on spiritual values in leadership and the impact they have on organizations. That's Jeff. I'm going to say that's probably not the most common thesis in an academic paper. Probably not. Yeah.
True. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was. I was sticking out at the time as well too. Yeah, you got it. It's funny that information is more interesting to some now than it was at that time. But yeah, it's right in line with emotional intelligence, and I think Daniel Goldman, his name is, and the work he's done around emotional intelligence. And then it's just kind of an extension off of that with when you have spiritual values, how it impacts emotional intelligence of the organization. Yeah.
I definitely think that employers could use that and implement that into the streamline and cascade that into their training and their HR employee relations, because it doesn't make it as cold of a connection with your employer when you add the spiritual variable into that equation.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I went down this rabbit hole actually, before the alien contact, and I actually had a grand epiphany after being I was doing consulting work for City Hall in Ontario somewhere, just outside Toronto, and I kind of realized at that point that you have all these spiritual ideas and meditation or mindfulness, or even just finding peace or connection, and trying to apply it to the work environment. And it finally dawned on me that employers don't care about this, and the actual transformation that's required to really fully embrace all the ideas is something that often will put someone into a space where they realize they don't want to work there. So it's like the employer is looking for a Band-Aid to get high functioning employees, and what they actually really need to be doing to make it, they don't want to make that jump. And I think Daniel Goldman had some of the best research behind it, and he found that purpose was the grand motivator. So if you can make all your workshops at your work about purpose, then you can inspire your employees. But what ends up happening is they end up finding a truth and they want to leave, right? So it was kind of a weird double-edged sword, and employers really struggle with how to apply mindfulness ideas into the work environment still to this day. So it's very interesting.
Purpose for sure. That goes back to Viktor Frankl.
That's right. Yeah.
And purpose. And search for meaning. And it's so difficult to do that in a chaotic business corporate world.
Yeah.
And I mean, so to do that, I mean, when you took that approach, you were in the financial industry in management and leadership doing this for how long?
So the mindfulness content, so that happened, that was basically the thesis. And so I jumped into finance, and I left finance to deal with this. So I ended up, I probably spent 3 or 4 years. So I went to a conference and had some, luck there. And I was part of a, management company that seeked to put me into certain businesses. And so that worked for a while, but yeah, it just doesn't, I kind of had an epiphany about it all. Where I wanted to go was, yeah, the more deeper side of spirituality and consciousness. And that just doesn't work well with employers.
Yes.
No, I'm saying that wrong, but it's not, they want something else. That's what it is. They want to make the high functioning employer. So employee.
They do the analytics and they quantify what they're going to spend their money on. And they probably see, oh, that's woo stuff. That doesn't work. And it's like, well, we're starting to see that paradigm shift and change and transition into more of that, because like you said, people are just saying no, and they'll work there, and the turnover rate increases. Yeah. And I would say that your Vedic philosophy and the meditation studies that you have been doing for 20 plus years, that inspired that, I assume.
Yeah, that's a good way of framing it. And I lent towards mindfulness, kind of the more Buddhist concept. I was using actually acceptance and commitment therapy, which is a mindfulness technique applied to, basically therapeutic sessions. And it worked really well applying it to business. So it was really learning how to, find your peace in the inside, accepting the present moment. And so it can build off of value systems and purpose and meaning making. But in the end, I really cared most about, the Vedic content. But I found, even at that time in 2000, whatever that was, 2010 or something, the Vedic is still too religious. So it had that kind of element of mindfulness was kind of coming up at the time, even though it had a Buddhist origin. I forget the guy's name who kind of transferred it over as a mindfulness idea, took all the Buddhism out and made it all about these kind of therapeutic ideas. But it's still, this is what part of the grand realization is that in meaning making with spirituality, that's how you get the value out of spirituality and really integrate it into a transformational experience is through meaning making. And people make meaning through kind of religious or mythological concepts. So they're right. That's why Christianity has endured, because the mythology of Jesus, right? They have these mythologies of Krishna, the mythology of Buddha, and then their teachings kind of come down through the storytelling of the mythology. So the transformation happens from the kind of the mythos, and the Western science mind that is all trying to be business focused tries to take all that out, and it doesn't work. So, because the human mind is a mythos, it's a mythos meaning making system, right? So, so it's that's again part of the crux. So I kind of had a grand realization: this isn't working. It doesn't go as deep as I want it to. I don't even think it's effective. I didn't even really think it was that effective. So I kind of pulled out from doing that, and lo and behold, aliens allow me to talk a lot about.
Yeah, I was going to say, for someone who never considered himself a UFO guy, when the memories started to surface, you stepped into that UFO guy position in the community, and you pretty much took it and ran with it to share your story. And that seems to be kind of the mission that you're doing, is getting out there, sharing your book, sharing the story, doing the lecture circuit, the podcast circuit, with a lot of outreach, which is really the best way to really have that as your mission and use these mediums as that platform to jump off of.
Yeah.
So, Robin, did you want to ask something?
No, not right now. I will.
Yeah. So you finished the first edition of The Rising. I was fortunate enough to see you present it in a meetup group, and you kindly shared a PDF. And then this is a revised edition. I guess you just put more details that you left out of the first one. And it's quite the story, and it's a vivid account of your experience. And when we talked last time, one of the things that the memory return framework that we talked about, it's like you had these, it's based on 26 or 27 individual personal encounters. 26, there you go. And you had this recollection not until your 40s or early 40s, but it dates back to 20 plus years prior. And that defining pivot was around 1997.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was that's what you called, that's like the basis of the book, The Rising. And
that's right.
like an agreement with the Greys to kind of do a soul discovery.
That's
I really
right.
wanted to get into that and the genetic activation. Like of all the experiencers there are out there who come forward with their story with the detail, it's like, well, how come, some people say, well, how come I don't get to experience that? Why did Jeff get to experience that, or Robin get that? Why don't I get that? Do they communicate that meaning as to why it's you?
Well, there was this kind of pre-birth agreement, if you will. Now the specifics behind that, I could, speculate. Sure. No telepathy or no communication has ever been given directly why, but I am aware of some things in my own, like, kind of normal in the UFO field or the abduction experience. Contactees are showing their past lives, or showing kind of, details about their history, their consciousness. Right. And that's what happened here. So I was shown my a past life and the death of that past life as it went into the afterlife. And that's the transformational experience they gave me. And so over the, you could say, decades, I have pretty good awareness about my past lives and things I've been able to, past lives are very interesting because you can prove the details, right? Because a lot of things are recorded in history. So you can go back to locations and say, hey, I knew Auschwitz was by a river system, right? Like that kind of like stuff like that, right? Like I know specific details. I know the type of gas they used, right? In those concentration camps. So those are crazy things to say right now, but those type of details that you can unravel for yourself. And that's the kind of validity you can get from a past life awareness. Yeah. So I had a set of experiences in my history that may have lent me towards the type of experiment that they wanted to do. So there were definite moments of, shamanism or enlightenment, I guess you could say, in certain epoch histories of my own. And then there's obviously some type of tragedy that occurred in the last life. And then there needs to be a healing or a rectification. And the entities saw an opportunity. And then my oversoul says, yeah, we both have an opportunity here to help each other. And that's kind of the gist of it. So there was already a pre-imprint about some previous experiences that allowed me to do what I did, or do what they did, I guess. And that's kind of gist of it. And then upon that, I guess you could say that maybe my oversoul facilitated some other things that would make it perfect. And that would be DNA related, so genetic related. And then I was down in a family line that had a certain type of gene set that they liked, the entities liked, and that would facilitate the entire experience altogether. And crazy as it sounds, I was clearly born to experience that rising in 1997. Yeah, it's
like a story arc almost that was already authored for you, and it played out. And well, there you go. That kind of answers some of it. Is the Greys, you had a certain genetic code and you came from a lineage that they kind of had a liking to. So they saw you as a someone who could add value to the, I don't want to say agenda, but the overall plan that we have, that they have in store for humanity.
They can use you.
Coexist.
You're their voice.
And it always seems, exchange related. So there was an evolution on my side, and then they got something out of it too. Yeah. So it kind of benefits both parties. And that's what I keep seeing here. And that's exactly what happened with me.
Yep. Yeah. Can you explain the gold DNA? Is that what is something that's inside of you, or is it inside of all of us, or is it outside?
Yeah, it's something that's in all of us. So
is it like the God code?
That's sure. That sounds like that could be a description of it. Okay. So one of the ways I'm going to frame this is, so now versus the experiment they did with me versus how another human could experience this. So this is the oversoul, body, the oversoul light embodied in the human. Okay. And then it triggers DNA. And so then you experience the DNA transforms, if you will. And you notice it. It's not just a DNA experience. It is a consciousness experience, and the body follows suit.
Yes.
So they kind of preempted all this with the methods that they had, largely the fifth contact event in my experience, where they kind of put this body, they did this exercise on me. They did this body thing with me, and there's like a grid that they used. And I now kind of understand more that they were imprinting this, part of me that saw the afterlife. So this oversoul experiencer, this guy who was an orb, it was like high energy, and now they're kind of putting it in properly or imprinting it into the physical body, and it stays there until it can be activated. And then December of 1997, I basically through the process that they had and through the book that I read, I had this oversoul awareness without understanding where it came from.
Yeah.
And then upon it, everything's all perfect. All my DNA was clean and everything. I'm young, I'm unimpressioned, all these kind of things that allowed I had no trauma, right? All that stuff. Never mind. I was open-minded and open-hearted.
Yep.
And then everything just goes boom and it fires up.
Yep.
And it's like an intense, this was like kind of the plan. Yeah. It was like you could call it intense divine experience, or you could say I saw the oversoul, or you could say I found God, or you could say, right, it goes on and on, all the different perceptual frames that you can take on it. And what happens is it's a transformation of the body. So the body literally triggered, and the DNA triggered, and there was gold, and I experienced golden DNA, light coming out of my cells, if you will.
Wow.
Yes. Wow.
And what's crazy is, right, like it's like it is wow. It's still wow to me to this day. And what it is I was so and I was so unbridled. I had no preconditioning.
Like what happened? What's happening?
And now I'm like 40 years, something old now. I have all this conditioning. I can't get as pure as that ever again. So, but it's really powerful that they did it, because it left imprints that can be relied on. But it's an intensity that it blew my brains out at the time. And that seems to be its purpose. And it's the purity of who I was at that time really added into it all.
Yes. And I think that's key. It's your
key.
life. And then your life just expands upon that, and you evolve upon that, and your awareness. And then you come to a point where it's time for you to speak.
You got it.
You go through all this, step by step by step, and then they say, okay, now it's time for you to deliver it to the people. And let it touch them and evolve. Awesome.
You got it. It's all designed, and it's kind of clear.
It is.
When you get that experience, and then you get the other content then too, they compile it on with their agenda and that type of stuff. Then you can speak to the two sides very clearly and very easily.
Yes. And you're aware of what is positive and what is negative. So you can decipher who's talking to you. You get to that point of elevation that you go, okay, go over here. You're not telling me the truth. You're not a friend. You're a foe. And I always ask, are you a friend or a foe? And if I heard that they have to answer me correctly. And so when they say foe, then you kick them out.
Interesting.
So it's like a conduct code of the universe. You have to
permission.
You got it.
There's laws everybody has to abide by. Else there's probably consequences that they don't want to happen to them. So can you? One thing I want to define for people is, because when someone says grays, they go negative. They think, I'm not having the grays come and, take over the earth. So will you define grays in your experience? That's who they are.
So I still think a lot of people don't know exactly what they are. Though there's things coming through, and they're showing us an aspect of themselves. But I think that same thing is shapeshifting a lot and transforming for people. What I think they are is some type of ethereal entity. And we identify them largely by the appearance, but the appearance varies quite a bit depending on the contactee. And that alone, I think, Now some people kind of go on with stories like, oh, well, there's 60 versions of them. And I'm like, okay, so something isn't adding up with the whole variety aspect of him. And I've seen it with my own eyes that they can shapeshift, never mind craft, but individual bodies.
That's interesting. I've not known that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And never mind that the entities, how much of it is dealing with astral projection or what the astral realm is a projection realm. So the consciousness can materialize or manifest as something. And so you can shapeshift that form with much greater ease than you could if you were just dealing with physical hard material body. So the Greys that I know are a species that appears to have involved themselves with human creation. Yeah. The degree with which that happened, I don't know the whole detail. I don't understand that history. But yeah, there's, for me, it's 100%. We are already linked to that species, at least some of us. And I think that there's several different hybrid tribes. I think that's the whole grand picture here is that, I'm going to estimate that, 5 or 6 of what we thought were just, races of humans actually have alien DNA, and then now they've integrated into the entire population, and there's this whole history thing that goes on, and half of us have alien DNA and we don't even know it. And that's why there's an interest in us. And so now that species is, as a dimensional species, as an ethereal species, is looking to integrate back into, onto this planet, basically, to pull themselves out of that dimensional state. And I think the Grey form is one of the hybrid forms that was linked to an ancient, it's Celtic for me. And it could be another one as well too, but the Greys and Celtics for me are just, it's the Fae, basically the Fae, the fairy folk, the gnomes, the elves, it's all that. And the entities that I know are actually very benevolent. They just act differently, and they may be very detached from human emotional ideas. So that's what I think. And they're just dealing with other dimensional frames of reference. And so when we get all attached about our livelihood because of such and such, I think they don't understand things like that and stuff like that. So, but at heart, the entities I know are actually, I would say, more loving than humans, or express their love in a grander connecting form than humans do. For me, the whole thing is that entities are non-dual. I feel like I've had more and more research. The evidence is there that they're non-dual by nature. And that means that, that they're not just dealing with, they're benevolent, but they see all of existence on a certain connected level. And then when we do not behave that way, we might look like we're kind of like crazy creatures, and then they might behave that way, and
they're scared of us.
And they're more like, what the hell with these guys, and then they might actually be acting in certain ways that reflect that. So they might think that,
reflect from your energy.
I've actually said this before. Like, they might be grossed out by us, and they might they might be needing our DNA, but hate all the stuff coming out of your head, right? All the projections and images coming out of your mind. And for me, the entities I know, they're sensitive to that stuff. So I think that there's like lost in translation type of thing that goes on here. But so on that behalf, they're coming into our world. I'm sold. I'm convinced humans, not just we need it. I'm actually convinced we need it. I'm convinced we're at the precipice right now, kind of the end game of what human existence is all about. And so we kind of need like a big brother guidance thing going on here. And the entities I know aren't maniacal, and they want to be nature creatures. Want to kind of merge. So I kind of give a big grander answer, because I think the in-between of what the Greys really are is still a mystery to me, actually. Even though I have all this connection with them, and I see them as orbs and drones and all these weird objects, and I can experience all this paranormal content with them, and I got this 26 contact events, it still is a bit of a mystery unless you just take out all that and see that they're an ethereal form that can play with existence or play with reality, play with a simulation, and use it to make a communication and an impact on a species that they need to merge with. And then everything else might just be just art for them, some type of phenomenon art, the way they interact with humans and the mythos that they know they need to create with us. And that's all what the phenomenon might be. In fact, everyone's channeling. I don't know still yet that everyone's channeling, and all the Arcturians and Pleiadians and all the stuff that people say they're interacting with isn't all the same thing.
Yeah. Right.
And I haven't, and if it's not, then I still am in the belief that some of it, the phenomenon is much more of it. If there is a such and such species over there, or such and such species over there, my whole point is, why aren't they making it clear for us? Because it's looking like, for me, the phenomenon is a lot more of the manifestations that people are experiencing.
Yeah. And I believe that our experience on Earth, obviously you were from the Holocaust. You mentioned Auschwitz.
Previous life, yeah. You got it, yeah.
I was too. I was a Polish nun. And and I actually
coming soon.
Yeah. That'll be in the next book.
Oh yeah, I know. I thought about doing tell me more. I'm living, every other day I have something that comes up about this.
Yeah, well, actually I did a regression with a shaman. That's what's and before that, when I moved to Boise, finances went boom. And so I didn't have the internet, and all I had was a computer. So I had this story in my head since a kid. So I said, I'm going to write my story. I'm going to just write this story as my entertainment. So every night I come home and I start writing. Well, what happened is I started just bringing in whatever is coming in, all these spirits and everything. And if I forgot to write something, like I had, it's one person, it's called the Roma, and it's going to be a gypsy. It's of the gypsy tribe, because the gypsy tribe was one of the first gatherings of World War II. When the Nazis came, they were coming to take the undesirables. So they started with gypsies, then Jews. And so my manifestation was a woman that got caught in that, and then her life segment on how she survived it. And she actually was a cook and an herbalist. And so, and she, that's how she survived. They brought her into the Nazi homes to cook for the families, because she was able to, so that's how she survived. Anyway, it was the most bizarre experience, because I spent 2 years writing it, and I would go to bed and they said, you forgot to put the tattoo on her arm when she went through Auschwitz. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get up and I got to write it. And I go, well, what's the number? Tell me the number. And they gave me the number. And then I just felt all this presence. And always, I wrote it in the kitchen, and always my kitchen was ice cold. And then you walk into the living room and it was fine. But where I was writing was ice cold. And I always felt like there's a ton of people behind me when I was writing. And I would write things. And then I thought, well, I have to make sure, because I wanted it kind of a historical document. So I just wanted to make sure that everything was on board. And it was funny, because when I researched it, what I wrote was right.
Yeah.
So
I know that feeling.
So, I was a Polish, and I actually died at the hands of Nazis. And it's very interesting, because and that was my last life. What carried over was where they shot me on my head. And then I developed in this life a cancer right here.
Same spot. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so
it's not uncommon.
And
I've heard that.
In the medical field. So I just kept itching. And I shaved my hair in that area. And I saw this hole, and it creviced in, and it was red. And I went, ooh, that's not good. So it was a basal cell. It was a skin cancer. So I had a 3-hour surgery to cut that out. But I thought that was the most interesting phenomenon, because I knew I got shot on this side in my head, and that's where the cancer developed.
Right. Whoa. Yeah, I've heard those.
It manifests into different generations. Similar experience. I didn't have as vivid of a regression, but both times I got into it, I was in the Dark Ages, the medieval times, and I was taken to the executioner's block and beheaded. And I have esophagitis, and it gets worse with age, so I have to manage it better as I age. So I was talking to somebody a couple of years ago, and we were bringing up throat chakra stuff, and I was saying, yeah, my esophagitis, and she mentioned, she goes, that may have something to do with the past life.
We
Yeah,
carry things. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
really? I
The
didn't
imprint.
think about that. And then I
Mhm.
started to look into past life regressions and 𝗀𝗏𝗃 and Dolores Cannon's work and stuff. And you're seeing a lot of that. The physical manifestations from those past lives are still showing up in some form. So
Yeah.
the esophagitis may be a reminder of that. And hey, you need to do something about that to clear it up so it doesn't go on. Close the karmic loop, or so to say. You know, Robin with the gunshot to the head. I've also talked to another gentleman. He's an aerospace engineer. He was a doctor in the Civil War. He was tending to a soldier who got shot, and he got shot in the back of the ear, and he had headaches and these piercing headaches behind his ear. And until he realized what was going on, he addressed it, and it cleared up. Another woman got her arm chopped off, and right from the shoulder down, and right where the shoulder meets the arm is a big birthmark. So it's like
it happens.
You can't make this stuff up to make a
Yeah.
connection. And it's not like we're digging deep. Let's see, how can I dig and reach to make this sound good and interesting? It's just not. It really isn't.
Yeah. University of Virginia, the guy, I can't remember who, Department of Noetics. So they're the ones who, with Jim Tucker, who's found the evidence. He has the evidence that children can remember their past lives, and he's done like scientific method on them. And the guy who ran that department, who first started it, he has a whole research paper on trying to make the connection between people's injuries presently versus imprints left over from past lives. And he has a whole research paper on it. Actually, it's very fascinating. And it looks like an ethereal body, whatever it leaves off. There's some kind of consciousness imprint in the ethereal body, and then that imprint just replicates itself in the next physical materialization. It's pretty.
Was that Dean Radin or the guy before Dean Radin?
I don't remember the name. I have the paper on my book on my iPhone. But I can't remember the guy's name. I was hoping to use that paper for something, but so I stored it in my stuff. But
this is a lot of research on that, and it really begs to differ as to the experience or thing. Like when rewinding a bit, when Robin said, "Now your purpose is to spread the message, tell the news, write the book." Not everybody does that. And when you do something like this very publicly, that's probably one of the most difficult things to do as a human, is to go public with an experience that to most people still, the stigma of, oh, you're nuts. This didn't happen. It's in your head. It was a dream. Was there a lot of pushback? Did you get a lot of flack for that, for doing this, writing the book and doing the lectures and stuff?
Yes. Yes. It's really interesting. You have to look at the psychology of what the aliens did. So I don't know if you've got it to the 22nd contact event, where the elder says, there's a sense of like unresolved, right? Like, oh, we'd hoped you would have been different for you, the whole experience. And so I was left with that imprint while growing up in Toronto and after I met my partner, that what the hell was that experience? What was I supposed to have done? The mystery of it haunted me. I felt unresolved. My spirit was involved. I felt like I had all this potential that I couldn't materialize or manifest. So when the orbs were coming out and all the memories were associated with these objects, it's actually an interesting dynamic that happened between me and my partner, where I'm asking her, like, please believe me, And she's like, I don't understand this stuff. I can't. I'm like, she's like, why don't you go back to them then? And I was like, wow.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, it kind of made sense. So then, because I'd be able to go out on my deck and I could see the orbs and they'd come out. And they were kind of like a presence that was helping or guiding the process. So then I just put more energy into relying on it. And I identified it as the elder, the main entity I interact with. And I was like, okay, it's me and her. And that's what this is all about. And it was really bizarre. Like, she literally was supportive in that kind of, distant as an orb, but I could draw on it, telepathically. And so, there was a lot of pushback, but I had this unresolved thing about it. Also, how isolated and private the whole experience was had me wanting to get it out. It was like, people finally need to know what happened to me. And so it had these kind of psychological, I think that's all, when you look back, it makes sense that maybe it was all on purpose the way it was left unresolved. So then it was a drive in me to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and get it out as much as possible. So, but yeah, the road has been fraught with lots of obstacles.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep pushing and understand humans are humans. There's going to be a high level of ignorance, but yeah, it's an act. People don't realize it is a courageous act, and you have to be brave to tell a story like this and continue going with it, because immediately you're going to get the flack. But it's like, okay, if I can just weather that part, the climb to the summit of a mountain, you know, it's always the windiest, you know, as you near the top.
Yeah. But you have to, right, Jeff? You feel like you just have to. You can't deny this. I think our lives would sink if we denied what we are to do, to say.
Yeah, no, you're nailing it, and you know, for me, the big pieces are, okay, I woke up with all these memories. And it could just appear, especially for the people around me who didn't know anything about aliens, they're just wacky visions or wacky dreams. They couldn't even make sense of it. They were like, what? Afterlife and white room this and right, and meeting an alien in the forest that. What are you talking about? And they just couldn't wrap their head around it. But for me, I'm like, oh my God, there's another person who has an experience like this. Oh my God, someone else saw aliens in a tube.
Find your tribe. Yeah.
Oh my God, someone else had that type of an experience. And you're like, wait, so in the experiencer phenomenon in the community, what were just memories for me, what I felt I had to get out, turned out to keep aligning and matching up. Yeah. And then you get this future content stuff. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now I have stuff that matches this. I have government docs that actually say, I have an FBI doc that literally says, we plan to the entities plan to put themselves here. So then my story is right. Like the stuff they're telling me is right. And then and the gravity of its importance is really, really high now. So yeah, there's a fight, and the fight has been challenging because it's not just believe or not. I thought that's what it was. No, it's I believe and I hate gray aliens. It's I believe you and I think they're demons. It's I believe you, but I think you're making half of it up because I can't understand the rest. Because I think they're just so and you're confused as the person in the middle of it because they don't tell you either, right? So many people just listen and then they just shut you out, or they can't, or they get mad at you. So I've had it all. Yeah, it's been an interesting game, but I couldn't have done it without the entity physically in my environment.
Yes.
It's a very interesting twist to all this. And you know, I still have more videos I haven't posted because I've got 3 new ones because she does show herself and allows me to film some of them. But
she shows herself how? In an orb or a physical form?
No, like objects. So these are this is this new drone form. So this this is the kind of the newest thing, and it's always a little bit different with different lighting, different lights. And I have a little app that shows there's no other object in the environment. So it's pretty nuts. So they're still physically here, and that is not the motivator, but you know, the consoling of how important it actually is. How important the information actually is, and it's the obviousness of its importance is gaining momentum as people are starting to believe aliens. I didn't know it would happen this quickly. I didn't know. You know, 2019 was when it all started unraveling. 2020 is when I started talking publicly, and all it took was 5 years. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and it all took 5 years, and now. My partner doesn't deny it. My friends don't deny it. They can't anymore, right? With David Grush and then these documentaries coming out and everything. It's all
so much out there. They're coming forward.
It's fast. Yeah. And the news doesn't even make a joke of it anymore. And it's like
they report it now. Yeah.
They report it.
Yeah.
I was watching a thing in a Cincinnati noise. It turned out to be a train, but there was a weird noise in the middle of the night that was keeping people up. And the newscaster said, is it a mechanical device? Is it this? Is it that? Is it drones? And when they said drones, I thought, they still haven't, no one could ever identify those drones as Russian and China, So she wasn't saying Russia or China drones. She was saying aliens, right? It was like the way they used drones as the source of the noise was, and anyway, it was just the news's way of handling this bizarre and hard topic. And
it's part of their terminology now.
Yeah, exactly. Gillibrand, Senator Gillibrand, just came out after quoting, she made a quote somewhere that UFOs, UAP, and drones are all used interchangeably behind the scenes. So they know the drones are the phenomenon. So
you've seen some drones that people have talked to. It's in space, and then they say they're talking to this one woman was talking to a drone trying to figure out what this orb thing flying over. That's when the drones were in the United States were massive, and she says, she was trying to bless it like God loves you, God loves you, and this drone just went woo. It just started beaming when she vibrating.
I believe it
when she mentioned God, and it's like whoa.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, they're
showing us. They're showing us. We have to pay attention.
I feel really grateful because I had this entity, this elder. I saw it shapeshift into a drone back in June 2024 before the New Jersey thing came out, and I had a couple films of it, and then the New Jersey stuff, and I started recognizing right away that's the same stuff that I'm interacting with. So I went public with it right away, kind of, just throwing everything, like throwing my reputation out the window, basically, by saying these things I know are the phenomenon, are aliens.
Yes.
And to this day, now we got them all over Europe, and no one's denying this stuff anymore. And so it's really good. I'm glad.
You have your flaps, there's a hot spots, Europe, the UK has always kind of been a hot spot. The US, of course, especially desert.
Also Canada, it's huge.
Yeah, up in the Canadian, Alaska too.
Yes, right.
Russia's reporting more, definitely a lot in South America for sure. Mexico. So like you said, it's almost to the point to where, okay, whoever wants to keep this hush hush, you can't anymore. And you can't tell me all these people are wrong. And that goes back to the early work of Dr. John Mack. I read both of his books, and I couldn't, you want to thank him enough because he kind of pioneered the whole concept of listen, you've got to listen to the people's experience. Don't listen to all the scientists who are trying to recreate the situation or scenario, who are trying to re-explain it, the clinical psychologists. You've got to listen to the experiencer. And sure, there's some that are full of it, but those can be filtered out. And you'd be surprised how many are still left that are filtered out, that are legitimate. And there's a there, and not all, however many million people are lying. And the more you try to, the immediate response with a lot of the public is, you thought this up. It's a sci-fi book. You're just a dream. It's always it's always resistance. It's never, it's never, let's just talk about it. It's, you're wrong. Now prove me right. I mean, come on. Oh God, I get worked up with that.
Well, just think about the mental illness way back, and they had institutes. They put people away for talking like this, and these people were real. They were experiencers, and back then they said us mental illness.
So it's really funny. You kind of have that perspective, and I can hear it, and I definitely can understand it, but there's a weird twist to all this, right? So as an experiencer who has all this contact and does have that resistance and does have them here now flying around, and I can ask for a sighting and she can give it to me, but she doesn't ever give me something that is concrete, that can change the mind of someone. And even when my partner now sees them, she can't make sense of it, right? She says it's an orb, and she's like, that's an alien? You're trying to tell me that's an alien? And she can't make sense of it either, right? Kind of fries her brain a little bit. And so who's to blame? Because in the end, the phenomenon does appear to be in charge. It doesn't even let me have something that is concrete. Even Chris Bledsoe, I kind of made a joke about this somewhere else. Chris Bledsoe doesn't have the smoking gun either, right?
No, somebody can call him in. I mean,
and people can visit and can see it, and they can film it, but no one, he doesn't have a flat craft landing and aliens coming out saying, hello, hello. That's the phenomenon that keeps you or the public in the mystery of it all. And that's the kind of because that's, you're talking about contactees, and you're totally right. But between us all, we all know who we like we kind of have a little network behind the scenes where we all keep in touch with each other. And because when we know who we know is real, we all like really kind of seek each other out. But then that's it. We kind of like sit there because we kind of all recognize the phenomenon's the one in charge of all this. They're in charge of that physical proof. Yeah, they're in charge of who's getting it. They're in charge of who's speaking publicly. They're in charge of all of that stuff. And so we kind of just let that play, and there is frustration and there is pain. But upon that pain, I kind of see it as part of my karma, you know, my own process that I have to work through. And I try to forgive, like literally, oh yeah, that person ignored me. Okay, fine. I have to find a way to kind of have my own process where I don't take everything on, right? So it's a really interesting game what's going on here, and I kind of always put it right back onto the phenomenon.
That's part of your lesson, right? Is to forgive that and move forward. It's like, okay, I just got to keep moving on and forgive and press forward. And that's kind of part of the karmic lessons as well. And when you say the phenomena is responsible for it, they are definitely responsible for it. They're going to determine how you see them. Are you going to see an orb? Are you going to see a disc? Are you going to see a certain type of craft? Are they going to appear to you in an archetypal fashion, you know, which most humans relate to, or are they just going to be in raw form? They are a very ancient. Ancient's not even the word. They've been around way longer than we can imagine, from a dimension and perspective that is barely able to be grasped, that you don't even have words to really help describe the experience. It's difficult because language is kind of the curse here. If you could just do it, if everybody had the telepathy that we used to, it would be so much easier.
Right. Yeah. I know it's pretty wacky. And and I always keep coming back to, like, so for me, the entities are in the future. I know that for me, for the entities I'm interacting with. And so you can kind of see the problems about why it would be in control, and why it's dealing with the human mind, who is linear. The human brain is just linear. It's been linear for thousands upon thousands of years, dealing with life and death, life here, death there, and survival here, and kind of, you know, that's it. The structure of the brain isn't designed to imagine timelines, future events, consciousness outside of its mind. And so you got all these fundamental issues that you can kind of see the way it behaves. And individually, we hope, oh, I wish I could interact with an alien or get my proof. But the alien isn't interacting with you. It's interacting with all of us, right? It's interacting with, when it interacts with you, it doesn't interact with you. It interacts with you and then all the people you tell it about, talk to it about, right? And the story that you provide, and the image you create to all the other people. And so that's how I always feel about my story. It was like designed to be told. Right. It was designed to be kind of expressed in a certain way and shared in a certain way. And so you see, and what that means too, them coming from the future, that it kind of answers it, because you can see that they built the story already knowing its outcome.
Of course.
And so it's insane what we're dealing with. And when you start kind of getting on that level, you kind of go, okay, wait a minute, they're in charge. They should be in charge. And we have to kind of, like, you know, almost surrender to a faith to a degree to be okay with that scenario.
Yep. And a lot of times what I say too is, show me what you want. Show me what you want me to do. Show me what you want me to say. And because you get to that point where they're leading and guiding you, and you're the mouthpiece for whatever reason. And I always say, show me, you know, now let's go to the next step. Show me. And
and one of the things that you were shown in, and it was an interesting part of your book, the part that the agreement where the elder, you even have a illustration, the elder's explaining a holographic timeline. You mentioned timelines, and the elder was talking about a holographic timeline. Can you elaborate on that? So, I mean, I don't know if the audience quite understands that concept.
I'll do the best I can. So it was the outline at the time. I didn't know what it was. So it was just, it's almost abstract to the human at the time, the 16-year-old who saw it. And then they are saying, this is our outline of working with you. and you're like, okay, and you feel something off of it, but I couldn't really identify that at the time. And it was basically an imprint, just a cuboids is what I call it, rectangle, like 3D rectangles, and there were 2 of them. And then there were some other images over here, but the crux of it were these 2 images, these 2 cuboids. I would see them again when I was in the middle of it, and they were showing me after I had done the biological stuff, the biological contact events, and then I was fighting with them from that. And then by the 16th contact event, after the biology is done, she shows it to me, shows me the hologram, and I can feel my oversoul was in this. It's like, I have no other way of framing it, but that my oversoul was plugged into a computer somewhere. And then this was mixed with some type of like software that was their agreement. And my soul was linked to this. And I could feel.
You designed it.
It was like through their tech. So it was like a weird like element to it, like their tech, like it's like their software. But my oversoul, but their software, I don't even know. And then but I could feel I was in the middle of it. So I'm looking at something where I was in, and all it did was it verified that all the biology and all that stuff was a part of the agreement. And that was hard for me to wrap my head around, but it also kind of made me calm. Now, that was the last I saw it. And all these years later, when all the memories come out and I can take a big picture, observance of the entire contact, it's clear now that these were the blue. Well, the first one was blue. So it was a blue cuboid. And it was the first 3 years before the rising. And so the rising, this experiment sat in the middle. So it was like the main part of the end of the blue cuboid and the beginning of the red was this like it was the experiment right in between, the 2. So it was like an outline of the time. And there's a couple other connecting pieces that are in the story, but the bottom line is that if I had looked, I guess, into one of the cuboids, I would have seen spheres, and the spheres were the planned moments that they had ahead of time to have contact with me. So all the contact was, from their perspective, laid out ahead of time. And for me, I just was going through it in the moment, and it all seemed like random or just like it seemed out of my control, and it just happened, and I didn't really have any control about it. So, but for them, it was all planned out, and they had used these cuboids as the outline. And I didn't understand any of that stuff at the time. Now, with them telling me that they are from the future, all of a sudden them having this makes a lot of sense. Because they saw, never mind, the beginning of that timeline was when I was 16 years old. Yeah. And its end is when I'm 23. So I was looking at my future planned out by them with an outline that they had already known. I'd meet my guru, I'd find my partner, all that stuff was all like, oh yeah, this is the plan we have. And I don't understand any of that as the teenager, but they already understood all that. So it's really wacky. And so it's for years, even when I was public, I just kind of said this. I had this timeline thing without knowing the future element to them. And all of a sudden, this future thing starts making a lot of sense, how they behaved and how they acted around just these timelines alone, or the holographic timelines, and showing them to me.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Fascinating.
And I noticed how you were using analogies like their tech, their software, because again, it goes back to what I was saying. There's no words for it. And you can only use what you're given in order to communicate it. And when you started to remember in the elder and the twin, was there a sense of familiarity already or were you just still like, oh my God, who the hell are you?
When you say, at what point?
Yeah, I guess.
You mean when the memories were coming out?
Yes.
Yeah. Was there a sense of familiarity? So at that time, I hadn't seen the elder. If it had happened earlier, I probably would have. I had trouble wrapping my head around it all. How I wasn't familiar with an idea of an alien in front of me, but it's because of the consciousness states I was in. And I was so altered So it wasn't me. It wasn't this physical tissue brain Jeff Selver who'd grown up at the time thinking he didn't have alien contact. So there was a weird sense of it. And the fact is too, it was more of a spiritual presence. So she wasn't this alien in front of me. She was this thing that I had bonded with in the white room that I felt linked to, that had an overarching spiritual presence in my life. And when the memories were coming out, I didn't quite understand all that. So I had a lot of trouble wrapping my head around it. What's wacky is alongside me trying to unravel the first and second contact event was me having memories once the memories were coming out. So it's kind of like two spots I was having real clear flashbacks on, was the second and first contact events, but also the last one. So that was the 26th contact event. And that's when I saw the leader. So yeah, like really early on, I had this knowledge. I'd seen this freaking crazy thing with a snout and his eyes on the head, and it was looking at me, and I was under a table, and it was laughing that it was going to use me for parts and stuff. And I was like, and I was being floated down a hallway, and I had all these memories without understanding a thing, but I kind of already knew he was in charge of it all. And so that's it. Yeah, I didn't have like any other knowledge. I just knew that thing was in charge of it all. And of course, yeah, I'd call him the leader, right? Eventually, but it's the mantid creature. So that was it. It took me a long time to understand the elders' relationship and how this thing flying around my house was her. And the mantid, oddly enough, yeah, it kind of came together because it was the last contact event. So
wow.
Yeah. So you said mantid. So what's the difference between mantis and mantid? Is there a difference? No difference?
Not for me, no. And by the way, I don't even really know what this thing is. Like for me, it's the archetype. It keeps matching. It has the same archetype as everyone else's contact events. You hear about this leader who's in charge of the program. And that's what this guy was. And he looked like an aardvark. He didn't look like a bug. So yeah, he was a weird appearance. And
well, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, so it was kind of more archetypal that he fits that kind of mantid structure, or that mantid concept. And some of his behaviors matched the archetype we have in the abduction phenomenon. The eyes on the side. He did have his hands like this, like an aardvark would, though. An aardvark has a hands like this, right? Yeah. So it was kind of like that. It was kind of a weird hybrid between these ideas, but he did have the he had the archetype, and he was the father, almost the father of the program, if you will.
Yeah, and that's interesting you said that, because I've written about it, and I've seen mantis beings in a different realm, in more of like scientific and doctorish. Like they actually created our bodies. They know every element inside of us. And a lot of times if I feel like I need to go to healings, I think there's like a mantis being assigned to us. That's like our personal physician kind of thing. And I ask for healings from that being. And I can see myself being on a table and different elements happening. But I really feel like they have a complete understanding of us, the hard body, the hard body.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it told me we're going to think of it as magicians, because it's the ability. It's the mastery of space-time, and then the understanding of what we are, that we don't even know what we are. And they don't just understand us. Yeah, they have like scientific tools about us. I mean, my it's my 16th, 19th contact event. I still to this day don't even fully know what happened. I got taken out of my body, and then my ethereal body was compressed into some type of device, and then it allowed him to see my subconscious, and he was able to like analyze everything. So it's this like hyper degree of what are you doing? I don't even know. But he was able to analyze things to a degree that allowed him to discover or figure out what he needed to do with me. So it's this type of analysis that the human is like scales below. We can't even wrap our head around it, right?
Yeah, there's no tricking them.
Seeing your intentions and everything.
If you think about it, what a complete anomaly to put a soul, a spirit into matter and make it work. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
That took some doing. That, I mean,
Right.
that was high intelligence to make us have our soul inside matter, you know.
Interesting.
That's our gene.
That's kind of the theory of the soul is the fractal of the divine source.
Yeah.
And would the grays are, I think when we talked offline a couple of days ago, the grays, the question was, do they have a soul? And you said yes. I mean, maybe some of them don't, maybe some humans don't, but they've got a soul. So they have that, we all share the fact that we have souls and we're fractals from the same source. Do they see it the same way?
The entities I interact with do, yes.
Okay.
Now, I think part of the confusion here too is, I don't doubt that there's actually little droids, little versions of them that, but so the entities I'm interacting with are coming from an alternate dimension, and the dimension, we kind of maybe have a bunch of ideas about what that means, but what I was shown is it's another astral plane. So it's another, you can say the God field feels different, or it's vibrating at a different frequency than our field is. So that is a confusing aspect in and of itself, because if someone is used to even experiencing their soul or their God, or if they are on Earth, they might feel that this is a whole other something else that they've never interacted with. It's so foreign is what it is. It's such a foreign frequency or foreign spiritual label or spiritual identity that it's confusing or baffling. But the entities I know were, in unity states in that dimension. And that's why, because they're coming from this alternate dimension that is, some type of other unified field that feels different, then they have to send little drones or little guys. And so I don't doubt, there's a little, some of these little guys are just, they're not, they're some type of AI consciousness, quantum AI thing going on. I don't doubt that at all. And they're still speaking telepathy. So the telepathy can still operate through their minds but they are, they're functioning in our environment because they can, while the actual other ones, my entity couldn't be in our environment. That's what I eventually get told, is that she's the contact events where she seems to come out of craft, the environments are actually altered, and I end up learning these types of details now. But so the craft is able to freeze time, or we're both in astral states or something like that. So they're able to, but she herself physically can't be in our environment. So and that again speaks to, they're coming from another dimension, another realm. That's another frequency that impacts them in a different way than makes it difficult for both of us to be in the same space, actually. And so those are the things they manage. But the experience I have is that the entity is definitely on the same, a type of God field from a different dimension. Right.
They may not call it a God or source or creator, but it's a higher aspect of existence. And
I think everything's alive. I think that's the best way to frame it. Yeah. And I think there's some things I think I understand about them, that it's a field. I think they identify it as a soul field, and that itself is alive. And then awareness is springing from that. But any other labels, or I don't really know the details about that, but they do understand like that type of label, like a soul field.
And I mean, you mentioned earlier, they don't have that polarization. They're kind of, there's no duality aspect. There's no good and evil, etc. They know kind of one frequency, which is generally a benevolent, I guess, loving, for lack of another word, frequency. And when we react with fear or violence, like you said, they probably get confused by that. And that goes back to the deep interest in us for their continuity, because we have those wide range and spectrum of emotions. I think that's part of the study. So they learn, maybe when they procreate their species on out, there's different aspects that they can dial that into the golden DNA.
Yeah, you got it. I know for a fact that's what. It's the love that the human mind fragments space-time, right? So for them, they experience things in a much more maybe it's unified, or maybe it's kind of global perspective, but the way that we can fall in love with a sunset, right? Or paint, and the fact that, you might meditate in the forest and have this bliss, feel connected to God or whatever. And then you get up and you go out for a coffee, and all of a sudden you've separated out that experience, right? And so humans have this way of fragmenting existence, and they love that. Yeah, they love that the rich depth that gets created from the human emotional experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I wonder why they created us with so much emotion. And are we supposed to try to raise above the emotion and master it for higher intelligence, do you think?
I do think, yeah. I do think the point is to control the mind. Yeah. And I think the best of us have done that. And I do, it's like a tool. So from their perspective, the soul is not just from their perspective, but I think from the grander spiritual perspective, like from a guru and such, that we are souls in a body. And so is the body making the most functioning, is the spirit making the most function of the body? And it's not going to be making a proper function of the body if it's getting angry, right? When you can actually resolve something in a more holistic, more in line with your consciousness, more in line with your spirit. So then these emotions that are negative, that we would call negative, that are actually destructive to our body, they're hindrances. So we have to figure out how to not go down the avenue of expressing those, and then find ways. And you can frame that in any other way you want. Exactly. But with the core idea being, I think those are always detrimental. Like, it's detrimental to your own mind, your own body, but then the expression of it to other people, and then to your environment and how it impacts others. So I think those entities in a telepathic environment are extremely, extremely sensitive to outbursts and that type of thing. And much more than I think we expect them to. And that's part of the reason they don't want to interact with us right now, is because we're kind of a messy species, right?
We are.
That's true.
We're telepathically messy.
Yes. We're non-consistent. We're not consistent.
We're not consistent.
That goes back to other theories of various. We're like, there's different civilizations they're trying to make humanity work within, and that's another rabbit hole. And what I wanted to touch on, we're a little over now, I want to make sure we cover this, is the concept of the enlightened city. And it's envisioned as a real physical place here on Earth, right? I guess, has the foundation or the ground floor or any quote construction been done on that?
I don't know. It is a message directed, given to me from them, right? And so it happens in the 25th contact event, and basically with the premise of, we're coming, like, tell them we're coming, and there'll be a new city, and then I'm shown that the hybrids that I saw in my contact events will be living there. So that's kind of the gist of the story. And then there's a couple takeaways, which is, I saw the city in the 10th contact event. I see it placed in the center of North America, and it's the same city. And you're right. It kind of comes off as this very physical city. Right. Now, at that point in the 25th contact event, when she has told me that, she's also told me in the prior contact event, the 24th, that they'll be putting the hybrids down after this planet event. So that's the whole point, is that it seems all linked. So once there's this some type of event that's going to occur, some type of planet event, and what it gets described as is a dimensional shift. So there's some type of tilting of some electromagnetic field that affects, some type of devastation. That's when they put the hybrids down, and it appears at some point around that's where city is put into the story, or put into our story, our human story. Now, is it just metaphor? I always kind of throw it back at the reader. Right. Is it metaphorical? Like, I'm not trying to play prophet, and and I
knew that, and I was like, is this a metaphorical aspect, or is this going to be here on Earth within that realm that's in between the cracks, so to speak, that you can kind of go in and out of, or some of us can go in and out of, or is it literally going to be a transformative physical city, kind of like, Atlantis or Lemuria? And, we know what happened with that, but that a dawn of another golden age began, or what have you. And that's, as the reader, I was perceiving it as that's going to be the genesis for the dawn of a new golden age for humanity, hopefully. And it's going to, I think you said it's more based on, it's not going to be a power-driven leadership. It's going to be values and consciousness-driven, and that hierarchical kind of power struggle or command and conquer. That's going to go bye-bye.
Yeah,
it needs to.
Yeah, it does. It's not aligned with our own true nature. It's not aligned with evolution. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I personally live in the idea that it's real, but I don't fully know, right? But the premise makes a lot of sense for me, especially because the location ended up the center of North America. Turns out to be over top of the I should get this name down. The 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 aquifer. Anyway, it's the largest land aquifer in the world, right under North America. It turned out to match, and it turns out there was a contact event. I forget the guy's name, so I have all this detail on my website under the Researching the Rising portal. Pat McGuire, that's it. Pat McGuire, the contactee from the 60s, was told to dig a well there
to drill, and they were like, the geologist, like, "What are you doing? There's nothing down there."
You got it. And the whole point was he got told to do it because after a planet event, you're going to need that water. Yeah. Of course, unbeknownst to that contact event, that's what I see. I see a city over top of that location. It's the exact location. So for me, these types of linkages, they're not right. Like when you remember the guy who woke up to these memories and all of a sudden, hey, contactees have experienced a white room before, and contactees have experienced this. And then to find out the future event stuff also matches, and they're flying around my apartment, then I just say, like, obviously these details important. Is it to the degree that there will be a physical city? I don't know, but why is the connections there, right? Why are all those pieces of the puzzle fitting? So that's how I'm left with that. And for me, everything makes sense. The entire picture makes sense. They're coming. They've been telling us they're coming. Yeah, there's an end game. Yeah, and this is the plan, is that, and part of it is, they like, for us, it's utopia in this concept, but it also has a couple other twists to it, right? The planet wasn't warmed up ahead of time. So here's a space where humans who want to evolve, want to learn, who want to adapt, who want to move into this other dimensional state or frequency can do it. And if you don't want to, go over there. So like, you can't be here with us. And what it ends up being generationally is a location that starts influencing the entire planet. So over generations, the entire planet turns into this other, an alien friendly planet, basically, type of idea.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We'll
take it.
Evolve into something else. Yeah, that's the idea.
Jeff, what does the city look like in your mind? What did you see the city look like?
So condensed towers, but I call it emerald, but emerald is green, but this isn't green. It's like metallic emerald. So it's some type of like a live silicone or something. Like it had a
entity.
Living silicone, basically, living metal or something. It kind of had a mysticism to it, the material, and dense in the sense that they're either quadrants, and you could go in, and people are living out normal day life, and there might be services. You might actually, the way I said this from my experience with the AI system is, I'm pretty certain that like humans are all kerfuffled right now around the AI. Like people, we don't want AI to be in our lives because we feel like it's not thinking for us. But what if it's thinking for us, but what if the AI is governing us how to think? So it's saying, spend the entire day doing art. And you're like, oh, okay, because that's what your brain needs right now. It read your brain, it read your spirit, it knows what you need. So instead of us trying to be the masters of ourselves with AI is now the masters of us. So and the AI is able to say, hey, you would be better with that friend over there, and you guys could build something or do this thing, or you could work on that. And so AI is facilitating this society, and it's helping you be in your natural state, as opposed to AI robbing us of our natural state. It's kind of just governing us so we live out naturally holistically with our minds and our hearts, thinking for ourselves, acting for ourselves, but going into a dimensional way.
Yep.
And then that's the AI is facilitating that process.
And that's how we live. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it's telepathy through it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. And then on top of it, I'm pretty certain that if this is where it's all going, then space-time is available to us in the most insane ways. So yeah, I'm pretty certain everyone's passive eyes will be opened up. So you want to know who King Henry VIII was? The person might be alive right now, right?
Yeah.
And you can go on a computer and figure out who it was, right? You want to know who King Jeffrey, whatever was, and you can figure out who that was and if they're still alive, right? So I think that type of depth will be available to us, and it's just magic upon magic at that point.
Yeah, someone actually wrote about that. Yeah.
Who?
Someone wrote about that. Where like the Akashic records, you can go up to the Akashic records, type in, I want to meet this person, and where are they? And then they can materialize, and you can actually have lunch with them, or meet them and hang out with them. Yeah. I can't remember who it was, so.
This is what
happens.
This is what that tech is. It's, if you want to call it Akashic records, it's Akashic records tech is what it is. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's basically pulling in the non-local field of consciousness is all over the cosmos and infinite, and the Akashic records, or this text, so to speak, just allows you to pull that book out and read it if you want, at ease. And we're supposed to be able to do that now, and I say we do that now. I think maybe some of us don't realize it. I would say Robin does that when she writes her books. You probably did it when you wrote your book and you do your research. We're probably doing it on a subconscious or unconscious level, but that's where we're pulling it from. Yeah, because it's now stated. I mean, the community, all the experts, they can't even agree on what consciousness truly is defined as. But they now are recognizing the fact that it is outside of the brain and body. So it's non-local. So if that is non-local, any continuity of memory or emotion or anything in the future or past is everywhere around you all at once for everybody to pull in and read and listen to, just like these grays were doing with you when they were analyzing you and mapping you out, and they already had your holographic timeline. It's really interesting. I mean, we're coming up on an hour and 20. We should wrap up shortly. But for a good question, I talked to people who have experiences. They can't necessarily recount like you can. So for people who have these fragments of memories, what would you advise them to do so they can kind of close the book and know what happened?
That's a good question. I want to be a hopeful voice and say, you can do it.
Right.
I don't actually know that they can, though. And some people, if they have partial memories, then they're probably able to get them all. I can't imagine a scenario where that's the case. The sealing up and the whole concept of it, it's governed by I think the soul of the individual combined with the entities. When the soul is ready, when that spirit is ready to acknowledge or have that mind blown by what had happened to them, and also maybe trauma, waking up to the trauma, because that was what it was for me too. Right, there was serious trauma there.
Yes.
Right, and I had to digest that I was kicking and screaming on an alien craft and stuff. Right. Yeah. Like and then that took time to digest. So, and you have to have the strength to deal with that too. So your own spirit is involved in that process. Now, if you already have some kind of partial memories, my guess is that you have access to them. Hypnotic regression works. I don't know, when you have those broken memories, then you already have an anchor. And once you have the anchor into it, the hypnotic regressionist simply is grounding you in the state that you're in at that time. So I needed that at the time. I had a lot of broken memories and a lot of pieces of things, but the regressionist was able to keep me there so I could cry and realize, how
feel it.
I can feel it. And when you feel it, you get more of the vivid memories of exactly what was occurring to you. And so regression does really, really help. And I also, it wasn't the only thing though. And I've heard of this before from David Huggins, who 11 Saucers, who did
the painter. Yeah.
Painted his contact, right? So I'm a big believer in being an artist, of course, but art therapy. active imagination. So, drawing
or
on
doing,
that contact. Yeah. So I did this with a lot of the holograms, like the timeline, right? I actually spent energy. What would it look like if I danced it, or I sung it, or I wrote about it, or poetry did, right? I tried to express that depth out, and I ended up learning more about what was in part of that experience. So I recommend things like that, where you can really draw out the experience to unravel it. If it's traumatic, though, I would highly recommend, a regressionist if you feel like you need it. Because it's challenging to face that stuff alone. And
yes.
And the regressionist has a lot of tricks, right? And one of my kids, when I was on the 16, when I was 16 years old, or I was regressioning the first contact event, and I was 16 years old, and I'm on the field and I'm freaking out. I'm frozen and I can't get out from it. And I'm crying in the regression. And my regressionist says, okay, stop. Now remove yourself from your body. And then she's like, okay, calm down. And so then you're like third personing this experience, and she's able to calm you down, like total tricks on how to handle all the trauma and stuff. She's really a real regressionist is really good at how to handle all this stuff. So those are the tricks. It's a challenging and interesting time if you're unraveling that, and I feel it for you. And you can always reach out to me, @gmail.com.
Yeah. So anybody in the chat, if you guys want to ask a quick question or two, and just for everybody who's listening or going to be listening, all of his contact information, his links and stuff are in the video description. You even have a supplement kind of to the book, the workbook.
Yeah, that's
right. Rising the workbook. And that is kind of, it's like create your own enlightened city. Is that kind of like a blueprint for like a vision board for your life kind of thing? Or I haven't really delved into the workbook yet.
Yeah, no, it is basically my 25 years under Vedic guru, having that rising, the entire lifespan of everything, and then structured into how they did the rising to me. So I basically put everything into it. Yeah. So it's like, it's a spiritual manual, workbook. So everything's in there, from visioning to how to create a literal like Kundalini rising, and how to work through your traumas. There's a whole, trauma section in there. Meditation is in there. So it's basically everything combined. And it was, part of the instruction was from the 25th contact event was to tell people, like, teach them or show them from everything that we've given you. So then after my 25 years, I kind of organized something, and I did it. I basically did what I was instructed to do. And and it sits there, and people want to read it, they can take it out and check it out.
Yeah, it's a good tool to have. And you're and I like the fact that you're very transparent about it. You even have the letter of kind of a authentication of the experiences legit from your regressionist therapist. You have that letter on your site. You have your polygraph exam. So make no mistakes about it. I mean, Jeff isn't making any of this up, and that's why we had him here. Robin, any last words or questions?
No, I think you said it all. And the only thing I guess I want to say is what I was gathering as you're speaking towards the end about the city, it's what I heard is this is what's happened on other worlds. We are not the only world that has gone through this motion, transgression, ages, seasons, that this has happened on other worlds also. And so that's what I heard.
Awesome.
I don't doubt that.
I don't doubt it. Once happened on our own world a long time ago, and now it's just coming back. Yeah, that's
we could have completed and then we reversed.
Jeff, thank you so much, everybody, for being watching the live stream. This will go on YouTube shortly. But Jeff, thank you for your time.
Appreciate
you've been a gentleman and gracious with it, and really opened up the eyes for more perspective. And that's what we need.
And Brad, I think we should have Jeff on again, because I would like to go on your workbook. I would like to bring the workbook in, and maybe we can have you back and let's go through the workbook, because that really interests me.
Yeah, Robin, love it. Love it so much. Thanks so much. I love that idea. Yeah, it's great.
Let's do it. Okay, thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.